Hi, this is Patty Blue Hayes, and I wanted to share with you some thoughts on seasons of grief and renewal. And today I'll be talking about Frozen. Frozen is the time where you're paralyzed. Let's face it, there's an ice storm that's come through, and there is just no movement. This is the time where, if you've ever seen ice that encapsulates a branch, the branch can't move, it can't do anything, there's no nutrients that are getting in, and actually the ice itself can cause the branch to fall off and die. This time of frozen is literally feeling paralyzed, numbing, bleak, barren, all those things you might associate with frozen. Now that I'm through many seasons, I can see that there's also great beauty in this season of being frozen. If you're currently in that season of feeling frozen, though, your perspective is too close and you probably can't see that. There will be a day where you'll look back and see the beauty in this frozen state that you might currently be in, because there is growth and there is the chance for renewal if you have an intentional path to go in that direction. I've been listening to a CD by Pema Chodron on getting unstuck, and she talks about all living creatures are designed to avoid pain and seek pleasure. And in avoiding pain, sometimes that comfort-seeking mode can become extreme and we can numb out. Another way to avoid pain is also with anger or aggression, either turned outward or inward for ourselves. My avoidance of pain took the form of numbing, and I would do that by literally running away. In December of 2010, while I was in that frozen phase, I ran away to avoid the pain of Christmas. I went to Romania, which then also was just physically cold and freezing. And while it was a wonderful experience while I was there because I was doing volunteer work, I still had to return home and face the reality of what my life had become. That my marriage was over. I didn't know what to expect in the future. And I had to face the feelings that I left before I took the trip to Romania. I would then also choose to numb out by excessive use of alcohol. This is pretty common that maybe you're finding yourself in that mode. Numbing out we can do in any pleasure-seeking way. It could be food, sex, drugs, over-exercise, overworking. A lot of people, when they go through a loss, I hear stories that they'll just, work, spend all their time at the office and not allowing themselves to feel the pain. So I'd like to share 4 things that can help get you through this season of feeling frozen. One is awareness. The second is faith. The third is asking for help. And the fourth would be staying valuable. So the awareness is pretty self-explanatory. It's really just being aware of the habits and patterns that you're currently in, and especially if there's some numbing behavior. Don't judge yourself. This is not a time to be judgmental and harsh on yourself. This is a time to be aware. Without awareness, we can't make change. And I was certainly aware that I was numbing out with overconsumption of alcohol, and I would feel horrible in the morning, most mornings with nausea, and I wasn't really eating, so I would have dry heaves throughout the day and just a hollow feeling inside my body. It didn't feel good, but that pain was significantly less than the heartache that I was feeling. So this is a time, just, like I said, if you're overdoing something and you know what that is for you, we all, I think, kind of know deep down within ourselves what our behaviors are and what is motivating those behaviors. Just be kind to yourself, just be aware of them. The next thing is having faith. And faith doesn't have to be related to religion or spirituality. Faith, really, at the base of it, is believing in something that we don't necessarily understand or can't see. For example, there's a gas fireplace going. I have faith that as long as the gas comes in, that flame is going to be there. I have faith that the walls around me are going to stay put. And that's really all it is. Because I'd been through a few losses, both my parents had passed years prior, and because I'd survived those losses, I knew in my mind that I could get through this loss. I had no idea how. I mean, this was a devastating, painful dagger to my heart and soul and like every fiber of my being. I had made the mistake of wrapping my whole identity up as being this man's wife. And so when he decided he didn't want to be married anymore, there went Patty. There was my identity. That was me gone. And I didn't know who I was. I remember going to talk with my therapist. At this point, I was going twice a week. And she said, well, Patty, that was a role that you played as his wife. But that's not your identity. And I did not understand what she was talking about. I had no clue. It wouldn't even go into my brain that I was an individual and that that was a role that I played and not my identity as a person. The next thing I wanted to talk about was asking for help, because this is not a time to try and go through this immense loss on your own. Let any healthcare providers know what you're going through, because there are physiological responses in the body when stress is apparent. There are chemical changes that go on in the body, and it's important to let any doctors know, your acupuncturist, your massage therapist, chiropractor, anyone that you see that you trust with knowing what you're going through. Just they might be able to even offer some tools or techniques that can help during the healing process. The next thing I wanted to talk about was staying valuable. We all want to feel like we're contributing and bringing value to people that we love. And when there's a loss, a lot of our routines change. There isn't that person there to do the things that we did for them. And for me, it was cooking. I cooked and I loved cooking, and we had entertained a lot. So all of a sudden, all the cooking that I was doing vanished. And cooking, for one, first of all, it's not something I know how to do. And second of all, it was just awful. I didn't feel like cooking anything for myself. So I found an organization called Project Angel Food in Los Angeles, and I worked in the kitchen helping prepare meals that were then delivered to housebound patients. And my first day there, I was welcomed into the kitchen, and they gave me the job of putting the brown sugar on top of the chicken marbella. And I mean, there were like 50, 60 trays of this chicken marbella that I had to put all the brown sugar on top of. But it was one of the happiest days, even in that frozen time of suffering and pain and tears. I felt so grateful to be there. And I felt that I was bringing value. And with every little sprinkle of brown sugar, I kept an image of whoever was going to be eating that meal in my mind, and kind of put a little bit of my heart and a little bit of my love and my good intention into sprinkling that brown sugar on top of that chicken. If there's something that you did that now is not part of your routine, but that made you feel valuable, do that for someone else. There are many places, organizations, and friends and neighbors and communities who will absolutely appreciate what you have to offer, and you are of value. And I'd like to mention a couple of books that I've been finding helpful. This one is an oldie and a goodie by Shakti Gawain. It's called Reflections in the Light. It's one I've had on my shelf for many years, and they're just short affirmations, thoughts. I think during this time when I was in Frozen season, I didn't have the attention span to read anything long, like a full chapter of any book. So I really appreciated things that were just, broken up into small, small sections, little manageable things. I really wasn't able to comprehend much during that time. And then the author that I mentioned, Pema Chodron, she is a Buddhist nun, and I like this book, Comfortable with Uncertainty. In the last video, when I was talking about the season of falling, there were 4 things that could be helpful in getting through that, and that is feeling the pain, learning to be in the present moment, keeping perspective, and developing gratitude. And in this season of being frozen, the 4 things I'm suggesting that could be helpful are awareness, faith, asking for help, and staying valuable. So now there are 8 things to use. There are seasons of renewal coming just around the corner. Just have faith and you will get through this. I wanted to share with you that when I was in this season, I would scour magazines and see television interviews of women who had gone through divorces, and they were in their little black dresses and high heels and the top season's lipstick color, talking about how they're miraculously healed and starting new businesses and raising unicorns that jump over rainbows. And that didn't feel anything like what my experience was. And I felt very isolated and alone in my pain. When I was preparing for the trip to Romania, one of the things I had to do was fill out some paperwork for my travel. And a simple question of who is your emergency contact absolutely dissolved me, because my husband had been my emergency contact for 17 years. I didn't know who to put down. I didn't know what to write in that space. I didn't have him anymore. And when I returned from the trip, at that point he had moved out the furniture that he was going to be taking, and it wasn't even so much seeing the big pieces of furniture that was gone. It was the little things, and the surprisingly that would grip me, not seeing his shampoo in the shower. His razor blade was gone. His shaving cream was gone. Those little things that we see day to day about this person who then is no longer in our life. And those things really tore me apart. They really affected me deeply. I got through that little by little, with time, with mistakes, with backsteps, but with the intention and conscious effort most of the time that I wanted to get through this. I wanted to heal. I wanted to be okay. I wanted to have days that weren't filled with sadness and pain. I wanted that. I wanted to create a new life. I wanted to develop a new sense of self and who I was, because I didn't know who I was without being that person's wife. So if you're in the midst of that, I went through that, and I was there. I was crumpled up in the shower, in tears, letting the water wash over me, sobbing like a child, uncontrollably, alone. Please know you're going to get through this. I'm going to do the best I can to share with you the tools that I found helpful. And I really just hope that you can hear in my voice again how much I want for you to get through this, because you have amazing gifts to share with your community and with the world. and you'll get through this. So come back and check out the next video I'm going to be posting is on the next season, which is thawing out. So kind of thawing out from some of this deep freeze of pain. There is hope around the corner. It just takes time. All right, I'll see you soon.